Hey guys, Mr. Voiles here, and I've got another quick tutorial for you on this Friday. And this is going to go quick. So what I'm talking about today are blend modes and folders. So as you can see here, I've finished my Instagram story, and what do you guys think? I think it looks pretty good, huh? So this is my Hanukkah Instagram story. I've got my guides here. I'm going to go ahead and turn those off. So I'm going to go up to view and then just uncheck extras. All right, so as you can see here, I've got, my background. It's got a pretty cool like stone wall kind of a background, but then I also blended some other elements. I blended in some like holiday lights in the background. I've got some elements floating around on top like these olive branches. And I've got my text here all gold and everything, and then I've got some Polaroids of myself. All right, and a picture here of when I visited Israel. So I'm going to take you through this step by step every day and show you how I did what I did. But first off, we're going to talk about the background and some of the blend modes that I use. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off all of these layers at the top, and I'm going to turn off some of the groups that I have. There's my lights there. Okay, and as you can see, this bottom layer, it's a picture I got from Pexels, and it's just a picture of like a wall with some peeling paint. And if I could show you the idea of a blend mode, it would basically be to show you that blend modes are used where you could just blend two layers together. So let me show you like a basic example. I'm going to start a new project here, letter size, and I'm just going to bring in some photography here that I downloaded from the internet. So here's kind of a cool portrait picture. Say like you took a portrait of a friend or something like that, and we'll just place that right there on the bottom layer. And so what I've done is I went to Google and I just searched for textures. There's also some textures in those folders that I gave you on the Google Drive, and I downloaded a texture here. So I'm just going to bring one of those textures into Photoshop, and I'm going to place that texture right on top of this picture. I'm going to rotate it sideways so that it kind of matches the orientation here, and then we'll stretch that out to go all the way as far as we need it right there. Hit enter, and the first thing I'm going to do is rasterize this top layer, this texture layer, and then we're going to go to our blend modes. So blend modes are right above the layers panel, and you can basically scroll through those one at a time and kind of look at what that's doing. That's blending. You can see it's blending the texture onto that photograph. So I'm just going to pick one that I like here, and I think, let's see, overlay looks pretty cool. So if we toggle off and on the visibility of the top layer, we're going to see before and after. Okay, pretty cool. Now the thing is that for a lot of textures, you don't want them to blend onto skin sometimes. So what you can do is take an eraser and erase through this top layer. So I'm going to go over here, take this eraser tool, go up to the eraser settings, and I'm going to bring the size up on that brush, pretty big size, because I want to cover a lot of the area there, maybe about that big. And then we're going to bring the hardness all the way down so we get a nice soft edge on the brush. And then I'm also going to bring my opacity to like around 20 or so that it's not very strong. And I'm just going to slowly brush away the effect of the blend mode on the skin and on kind of in the middle of the photo there. So if I turn off this photograph, the visibility of that layer, you can see my blend mode looks kind of like this. So I've erased away that part so that it's not showing and applying to the skin. All right, so and that's basically the same thing of what I've done here. So I have my background, and I brought in some paint textures. And if you can see, I actually drop the opacity on these to about halfway. But if I bring it up all the way, you can see that I've put that on overlay. And if we go back to normal, that's actually what it looks like. So I've set that to overlay, and it's just kind of, you just go through and pick your favorite ones. And then if it's still too strong, you can always bring down the opacity so that you can kind of see through that layer. So there's a paint texture here that I've got, and then there's also um, a wall, kind of a concrete uh, looking kind of a layer as well. And I'm just layering those together just to give it some extra texture, extra, I guess, feeling to it. Okay, so that is how you do blend modes. Now, the second thing I want to show you real quick before I let you get started is folders. So remember how I showed you guys how you can create a new layer? Well, right next to that button down here at the bottom is the folder layer. The folder, it's called create a new group, and that's the create a new group button. And so if I click this button, you'll see it creates a group or a folder. It's basically what it is. It's a folder. And so you can see here I've got some other folders already of like my menorahs kind of in the background or my Polaroids, and that's because there were so many layers that I wanted to kind of put them together where I could move them all around at the same time or turn them on and off as the visibility of them on and off at the same time. So folders are just a really good way to group layers together where you don't have to like scroll through all of them at the same time. So basically what I can do is I can double click on the title here, and you'll see it'll highlight blue, and I can backspace and I can put let's just say textures, or you could call it backgrounds or whatever you want to call it. All right, and now what I can do is click on the top layer of the textures. I can hold down shift and select a range of layers all together, or I guess I could just do it one at a time, and I can drag and drop those into the texture folder that I just created. And you can see that it's inside of there because there's kind of like a little space, it's like an indentation. So watch, like when I drop this next one in, you'll see it highlights blue. I let go of the mouse, and that is on there, and I need this to be underneath. It's a little tricky, but you know that it's inside of the folder when it kind of indents like that, but I'm going to put it at the bottom. So you just got to be really careful. You can accidentally pull layers back outside of the folder and then have to put it back inside like that, okay? So once again, you can highlight, hold down shift, and select a range, and you can move them inside and outside of a folder. And then this little arrow right here will collapse them together. So you can open and close that folder. So that's a pretty good way to keep everything organized. Guys, if you have any questions, let me know. God bless.